It was just another busy Monday morning at the office. There was school, the office was buzzing, and you were already buried in work. But even amidst all the papers and phone calls, you could always feel when Jungkook entered the room. He didn't have to say anything, his presence alone was enough to make everything feel different, a little more focused. You glanced up from your screen and saw him standing by the door, his usual casual confidence shining through. He didn't say anything right away, but his eyes were on you, as if searching for something in your expression. You offered a smile, as if saying good morning without words, and he returned it just as quietly. You look tired, he said, his voice low but soft. You chuckled lightly, brushing your hair behind your ear. It's been a long week already, and it's only Monday, you replied, trying to keep things light. He tilted his head slightly, studying you with a gaze that felt a little too intense for a regular boss employee conversation. You should take a break, Jungkook said, his tone gentle. I can handle things for a while. You looked at him, momentarily caught off guard. Was he being sincere, or was it just him being his usual charming self? I'm fine, really, you replied, giving him a small, reassuring smile. But Jungkook didn't move, his eyes still on you. There was something about the way he looked at you with that made you feel like you weren't just a secretary to him. The silence between you two felt comfortable but heavy, as if you were both aware of something unspoken, something more than just work. Finally, he broke the silence with a small chuckle. I'll keep an eye on you, don't overdo it, he said, a smile tugging at the corner of his lips. You nodded, feeling a soft warmth spread through you. You didn't know why, but that simple moment made your day feel a little lighter. A few days later, you found yourself struggling with a project you were supposed to complete. The deadline was approaching and the pressure was starting to weigh on you. You weren't used to asking for help, but you were stuck and it was getting harder to keep up. Just as you were trying to make sense of everything, Jungkook walked in. He was carrying a few papers, but his eyes immediately found you. You alright? He asked, his tone a little more serious this time. It was almost as if he could sense your frustration before you even said a word. You leaned back in your chair, rubbing your temples, just overwhelmed. There is too much to do and not enough time. Jungkook stepped closer, placing the papers down on the desk. He didn't say anything at first. He just looked at you as if deciding whether or not he should intervene. You could see the small hesitation in his eyes, the way he wasn't rushing to fix things but was waiting for you to let him in. You know I'm here to help, right? He asked softly. You met his gaze, surprised by the sincerity in his voice. Normally, you would brush off any offer to help, preferring to handle things on your own, but something about the way he said it, with that quiet understanding, made it impossible to ignore. I don't want to trouble you, he said, your voice quieter now, almost vulnerable. This is my responsibility. I don't want to be a burden. Jungkook shook his head, stepping closer to your side. His hand brushed against yours as he reached for a pen, and the touch, though fleeting, sent a small shiver through you. You're not a burden, Vine, he said gently. Let me help, we'll do it together. And just like that, the tension lifted. You found yourself nodding not because you wanted to admit you needed help, but because you trusted him. The two of you worked through the project together, his presence so reassuring that it made everything feel a little easier. It was moments like this that reminded you there was something more here, something beyond the professional lines. As the days passed, the lines between boss and secretary blurred a little more each time. Jungkook never pushed for anything, but there were those moments, small, subtle moments that made you wonder if maybe, just maybe, he felt the same way you did. It was late one evening when the office was nearly empty and you were finishing up some final tasks. You were so focused on the screen that you didn't notice Jungkook had walked in until he was standing by your desk. You're still here? He asked, his voice soft, almost like a gentle reprimand. You looked up surprised and then smiled. Yeah, just trying to get everything done before tomorrow. You know how it is. He chuckled lightly, sitting down in the chair next to yours. You work too hard, Wine, he said, his voice almost affectionate. You glanced over at him, his eyes were soft, and there was a tenderness in them that you hadn't noticed before. You couldn't deny the way your heart fluttered at his attention, the way he made you feel more than just his secretary. I can't help it. I don't like leaving things unfinished, you said, shrugging slightly. Jungkook didn't reply immediately. Instead, he reached over, gently brushing a strand of hair away from your face. The touch was so soft, so caring, and it made you feel a warmth spread through your chest. You don't have to do it alone, he said quietly, his voice barely above a whisper. You looked up at him, and for a moment it felt like the world outside didn't matter. It was just the two of you in that quiet, private space, and there was something unspoken hanging between you, a connection that neither of you had fully acknowledged, but both knew it was there. For a second, neither of you moved. The silence was comfortable, but it held a quiet intensity, like a promise neither of you was willing to speak out loud yet. Over the next few weeks, the small moments continued. Every time Jungkook looked at you, there was something different in his gaze. He couldn't quite place it, but it was there, hidden in the way his eyes lingered on you just a second too long, or the way he would find reasons to stop by your desk more often. One afternoon, as you were getting up to grab some files, you turned and nearly collided with him. He was standing so close, his hand just brushing against your arm. As he caught you before you stumbled. Careful there, he said, his voice soft, but his eyes locked onto yours as if he were waiting for you to say something. You couldn't help but smile at the way his gaze held you steady and warm. Thanks, you said, your voice quieter than usual. For a moment, neither of you moved. It felt like time had slowed, and in that instant, everything was unspoken. The chemistry between you two was undeniable, and though neither of you said it, both of you knew what was happening. You weren't just his secretary, and he wasn't just your boss. There was something more, and maybe, just maybe, you were both starting to realize it. The office was buzzing with activity as the new project manager Sam was introduced. Jungkook called you over to his office. His tone is casual but with a hint of pride. Wan, come here. I want you to meet Sam, Jungkook said, gesturing toward the tall figure standing by his desk. You walked over, offering a smile. Sam was tall with dark hair neatly combed and a sharp suit that fit him perfectly. There was a quiet confidence about him, the kind that drew attention. Hey, Wine, Sam said, extending his hand. His handshake was firm, but there was something oddly lingering about it. A subtle pressure in the way he held onto your hand for just a bit longer than necessary. Nice to meet you, you replied, shaking his hand firmly but politely, your gaze flickering to Jungkook. Jungkook was watching you both, his posture relaxed, but there was a hint of something unreadable in his eyes. Wine's been handling the load around here. She's been a real asset, Jungkook said, his voice full of admiration. You felt a blush creeping up your neck at his praise, but Sam's voice interrupted your thoughts. Well, I'm sure we'll be working closely together, Wine. I'm looking forward to it. You nodded, smiling lightly. Same here, Sam. The handshake broke a while ago, but something about the air felt different now. Jungkook glanced between you and Sam, a flicker of something in his expression. He cleared his throat, trying to mask it. Well, we have got a lot of work to do, right? Jungkook said, trying to lighten the mood. Let's get started. Over the next few days, Sam's presence was undeniable. He jumped right into his role, delegating tasks, taking charge of meetings. The office felt like it had shifted, and while Sam was effective, you couldn't ignore the way Jungkook's energy seemed to change. You and Sam were seated at the conference table one afternoon discussing the latest project updates. As you flipped through the documents, you felt his gaze on you. You looked up, meeting his eyes for a moment longer than necessary. There was an intensity there. So, what do you think of the new plan? Sam asked, leaning in a little closer. His voice had a smooth, almost too casual tone. You nodded, taking a deep breath. I think it's solid, just a few adjustments to make. Well, I trust your judgment, Sam said, his hand brushing against yours as he handed you a new set of papers. The touch was light but deliberate. I'm sure we'll make a great team. He looked down at the papers, trying to ignore the sensation of his fingers lingering just a moment too long on yours. As you worked, you couldn't help but notice the way Jungkook watched from across the room. His gaze was fixed on you and Sam, a faint frown in his brow. It was brief, but you saw it. His eyes darkened just a little before he turned away to take a phone call. The day after the meeting, Sam approached your desk. He was holding some papers in his hands, and he looked down at you, offering a small smile. Ryan, could you take a look at this? I need your opinion before the meeting later. You glanced up at him, nodding. Sure, I'll go over them. He leaned on, placing the papers on your desk. As you reached to grab them, his hand brushed against yours again. This time there was a subtle pressure. His fingers lingered for a moment, just a little too long. You looked up at him, surprised by the intensity in his gaze. Is everything all right? You asked, trying to keep the situation professional. Sam gave a small, almost playful smile, just making sure you're on the same page, he said smoothly, his hand still resting on yours. I'm asking about your hand, it's resting on mine. Do you have any problem? Why are you behaving like a fool? I'm seeing your behavior from the beginning. One time it could be mistaken, second time it could be an accident. But this is the third time you're repeating it. Listen, I don't have interest in you, so be in your limits from next. You're a good person, but we are not suitable. I'm so sorry, Van. I thought we would be a great match, but I didn't know you don't have interest in me. I should have asked you before behaving badly with you. Thanks for making me realize my mistake. From now on, we'll work as friendly colleagues, I swear. After 2 minutes, Jungkook walked past your desk, his eyes flickering over to you and Sam. There was something tight in his jaw as he glanced at you, smiling at him. Sam smiled and said, Okay, appreciate your help in the project. I'll meet you later. You nodded, giving a polite smile as he walked away, but your mind was focused on Jungkook. He hadn't said anything, but there was a noticeable shift in his demeanor. His posture was tense and he avoided making eye contact and left. Later that afternoon, Jungkook called you into his office. His eyes were focused on the work in front of him, but you could tell he was distracted. Ryan, can you come over here for a second? He asked, his tone more clipped than usual. You walked in, taking a seat across from him. Jungkook looked up, his gaze briefly meeting yours before it flickered away. Everything okay, Jungkook? You asked, trying to read his expression. He said, rubbing the back of his neck. Yeah, just a lot on my mind. I noticed you and Sam were working closely today, he said, his voice a little colder than usual. You raised an eyebrow, a bit surprised. We're just working on the project. He's new and we need to get things done. Jungkook's lips pressed together for a moment and he let out a soft breath. I know, it's just, I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. You have been handling everything, but if Sam is getting too much space. You interrupted him gently. Jungkook, I'm fine, really. I'm just doing my job and I know where to keep one. There was a brief silence before Jungkook met your gaze again. Just don't let him get too comfortable, he said, his tone soft but carrying an unspoken weight. You blinked in confusion. You don't have to worry. I know my boundaries and I know to whom I should set boundaries. Jungkook hesitated, his eyes lingering on yours a little longer than necessary. Well, if you know, that's great, but it seems you don't know. You swallowed, unsure of how to respond. The room felt thick with tension, and for a moment the air between you two seemed to hum with unspoken words. Before you could say anything else, Jungkook stood up, shaking his head. I should get back to work. Thanks, man. You left the office, the words hanging in the air, trying to figure out what they meant. Jungkook had always been professional, but today there was something different in the way he looked at you, something possessive maybe, and you weren't sure how to handle it. Soon, the new project finally kicked off after weeks of suffocating silence between you and Jungkook for a week. The meeting room was filled with executives, Sam seated beside you, everyone flipping through the fresh proposal, but the air shifted subtly at first when the glass door opened again. One woman walked in tall, elegant, wrapped in a silky black blouse and pencil skirt that screamed confidence. Her walk had that calm arrogance only people used to attention carried. But it wasn't her that made your jaw clench. It was Jungkook, the way his eyes lit up as he stood up and walked toward her, arms wide open, smirking. Hey, look who finally arrived. Jungkook's voice was smooth like caramel poured over a knife's edge. She laughed, that irritating, flirtatious laugh, and hugged him like she had done it 100 times before. Jungkook hugged her back easily, too easily, his eyes flicking right to you. And you were looking, of course you were, because the moment she threw her arms around your boss, your friend, the man who used to steal glances at you across glass walls and secret elevators, you weren't just watching, you were burning. You clenched your pen until it almost snapped, eyes locked on them like they owed you an explanation, and Jungkook, he had the audacity smirk right at you over her shoulder. You looked away, but the fire inside you didn't go anywhere. The meeting began, but your focus was gone. Every time you looked up there, they were Jungkook and the women now seated beside him, like some perfect little power duo. She whispered something in his ear, and he chuckled low, nodding. He leaned close to her screen, their shoulders brushing like they weren't even trying to be subtle. Sam tapped your notepad to bring you back to attention. Everything okay? He whispered. You nodded quickly, eyes still glaring holes through Jungkook's side profile. Yeah, perfect. The meeting dragged on, numbers, timelines, goals, but your eyes, your traitor heart kept shifting to Jungkook. The way he didn't even spare you a glance, after everything it felt like a slap. Finally, the meeting ended, everyone stood to leave. You walked fast, pretending nothing bothered you, headed straight to Jungkook's cabin to grab the contract file that was needed for the final copy. You didn't want him to see again, not now. You picked up the file from his desk, fingers trembling just slightly, and as you walked back toward the meeting room, you froze, his voice and hers. I missed you this version of you, Jungkook. Soft, playful, dangerously charming, she giggled. You bring it out of me, Jungkook replied, voice lower, slower, soaked in flirtation. Maybe I should keep you around more. Silence, then a laugh, hers. You felt it, that painful twist in your chest, like a crack running straight through your ribcage. You didn't think, you reacted. You showed open the door, eyes cold, and slammed the file down on the table so loud it made them both flinch. They turned to you surprised. I'm sorry, you said curtly, not looking at him. I didn't mean to interrupt you both. You turned and walked away, not giving him the chance to speak. He called your name once, twice, but you didn't stop. You didn't turn back, and for the first time, you didn't care if he saw the storm he had just awakened in you. As the door slammed and you walked out with that broken look in your eyes, Jungkook stood frozen in place, heart racing, regret hitting like a punch to the chest. He turned slowly toward the woman still seated beside him, her brows raised in surprise. Well, she said, crossing her arms that backfired fast. Jungkook exhaled sharply and ran a hand through his hair. Damn it, I didn't mean for it to go that far. You think, she muttered, shaking her head. John Jungkook, you told me to flirt, you hugged me like we were in a drama. He turned to her immediately, expression softening. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. I just wanted to see if she would react. I thought she had laughed or rolled her eyes, not walk out like her whole world just shattered. I'm a brainless fool to do this. She sighed, standing up and straightening her blazer. You're lucky. I adore you as a friend, or I would sue you for emotional whiplash. He chuckled weakly, guilt dripping from his mouth. His business partner gave a knowing smirk. Don't thank me. Go get your girl before she decides she hates you forever. He nodded quickly, already rushing toward the door. And tell her it was my idea too, if that helps, she called after him. As the glass door clicked shut behind you, Your breath came in short, angry bursts. Your hands trembled as you threw your pen into your purse, knocking it over in the process. Stupid, I'm so stupid, you muttered, tears stinging your eyes. I hate you, John, I hate you so much. You were stuffing your things inside with trembling fingers, slamming the chip shut like it would help your heart stop breaking. Behind you, the cabin door opened quietly, then locked. You froze, seeing his reflection in the window glass before you. Jungkook, his hair is slightly messy from rushing breath, uneven, his dark eyes locked onto you. Don't, you said coldly, spinning around. Don't you dare. He moved closer, slow, cautious. Lion. No, you snapped, stepping back, voice sharp with hurt. Go to her, hug her again. Smile at her like I'm invisible. You're good at it. And just as you turned to walk past him, he grabbed your wrist and pulled you gently but firmly into his arms, locking you there, your face against his chest. You tried to fight it, your fist pressed to his chest. Let go, Jungkook. I'm not going anywhere. Not until you listen, he said, softly wrapping his arms tighter. She's not what you think. You scoffed. Oh, really? You didn't look uncomfortable hugging her or laughing or flirting. He leaned back just enough to look into your eyes, cupping your face because it was a plan, our plan. I asked her to help me make you jealous. Your breath caught. What? I know it was a stupid plan. She is my business partner, a friend. She's married mine, and you have been ignoring me for a week. Like I didn't even exist. You were being with Sam and forget about me. I couldn't take it anymore. I wasn't ignoring you, you whispered. The project was important, and it's for you and for company. It was just 1 week, Jungkook. I thought you understood. He looked at you like he was memorizing every word, every blink of your lashes. I didn't, I just missed you like hell. I hated not talking to you, not seeing your name pop up, not hearing your voice. I lost my mind, and Sam was moving closer with you and thought he would snatch you from me to grab your attention. I planned this by listening to one of stupid advice on social media. Your eyes brimmed with tears. Yes, Sam had interest in me, and I clearly told him and set my boundaries. I'm not a thing to snatch. My heart belongs to you, Jungkook, and how could you think like that? He leaned in and pressed his forehead against yours. I'm so sorry. I'm an idiot to recognize it. Though we didn't express, I know our hearts belongs to each other. He whispered, eyes closing. I never wanted to do this again. Never want to go a single day with you thinking I want someone else. You smiled through your tears. I never wanted anyone else either because I love you. I know, and I love you too, sweetheart. I promise I will never repeat this, and I will take care of you well. He kissed your forehead softly like he was sealing a promise. Then you leaned into him, your lips brushing his, hesitant at first, until the heat of all the built up feelings melted everything else away. His hand slipped around your waist, yours in his hair, pulling each other in like gravity itself was begging for this moment. One kiss, long, soft, desperate, two hearts crashing back into place. Thank you for watching.